We witness suffering of others through media every day, and some professions even to a greater extent. What this makes us feel is empathic concern, which is a good thing if it leads to empathic care, associated with compassion, behavior, altruism, and improves well-being of us and others. While on the other hand, empathic concern can lead to empathic distress, associated with rumination, depression, callousness, somatization, and burnout. I believe that empathic distress is somewhat overlooked in the modern neuroscience research, and therefore I think that the objectives of my project must be to fill the gap between empathic distress and its consequences. In order to do this, first we need to induce the empathic distress, and I wish to use empathic provoking narratives. Then to measure the reaction, the changes in the brain due to empathic distress in perception, which affect perception, attention, and action. And finally, we will try to moderate the subsequences of empathic distress, for example, with an interactive, immersive virtual reality distraction. So how do we induce empathic distress as a lab? As it has been shown, narratives are particularly good to stimulate sustained distress. And it is known that the reactions to other suffering, which are recorded in the brain, correlate to the individual level of empathy. Narration is naturalistic, complex, and dynamic stimulation. Another advantage is that it involves high-level social reactions and is much better than a typical brief, phasic laboratory stimulus. And the reaction to such distress varies as a function of individual trait empathy level. The expected outcome is that a story of suffering of other will provoke high engagement and lead to hyperarousal and greater synchronization between the subjects exposed to the same material. If combined with individual high trait empathy level, it will lead even to higher engagement and hyperarousal and synchronization. The reaction will be studied in several ways. We hypothesize that the hyperactivation of the salience network happened during empathic distress, and this leads to reduced descending control and selective attention. And finally, the impaired cognitive flexibility is the result of such a sustained distress. The salience matrix can be studied effectively, as we have done before, with an fMRI paradigm using sustained noxious and innoxious stimuli applied to the limb. The descending controls will be studied with EEG using the paradigm of conditioned pain modulation. Attention and its unfocusing due to distress will be studied with visual event-related potentials, which provide components specifically sensitive to the spatial attention. And finally, cognitive flexibility will be tested behaviorally with the help of protocols appropriated before, which include either random or non-random presentation of the stimuli of different size, which affects the reaction time performance of the task. The expected outcome is that the salience matrix will be overactivated, The conditioned pain modulation will be poor, visual attention unfocused, and executive functions impaired. And all this is expected to correlate to the individual empathy level, so that high empathy subjects experience even more adverse effect of empathic distress. So how to suppress this empathic distress if the salience network is involved? It has been shown that a very good suppressor of the salience network activation is an immersive virtual reality distraction. And in few studies on empathic distress, it has been shown that the salience network is opposed by the value system. Therefore, we believe that such an intervention can be an efficient moderator of the consequences of empathic distress. So we expect to generalize the project that empathic distress leads to higher arousal in high empathy subjects, greater activity in salience network, pain disinhibition, poor selective attention and cognitive flexibility, and we suggest that interactive distraction via facilitating of value network can moderate this effect, and this will be great. The local impact of my work in the research team is that effective access in the social neuroscience will be more studied thanks to my project, and the multimodal approach will help to improve the varieties of tools and methods used in the research team. And finally, my concentration on the naturalistic context, which is narration and virtual reality, will contribute to the study of this important and highly valued topic. And overall goal is to improve the well-being of people with high empathy. Thank you for your attention.